Good afternoon and welcome to the latest in our series of live career webinars brought to you by the HOP platform. That is the Hertfordshire Opportunities Portal. It's a website that we hope many of you will be familiar with, or at least will familiarise yourself with, because the HOP is there to provide information for young people and students and schools and colleges in Hertfordshire about the range of different opportunities and careers that there are available for you in the county. These webinars are part of the HOP programme, and the purpose of these webinars is to give you the opportunity to hear directly from people who work in the industry that you would like to go into, and it's your opportunity to hear directly from them and to interact and to ask questions of them as well. So today's webinar is all about the careers in the hospitality industry, and we've got some fantastic panelists with you today who will be able to share their own experiences and really will be able to set the scene for what do we mean by the hospitality industry, what are the different roles and the requirements in that, and what are the best ways of getting into it. So I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves first of all, then I'll tell you a little bit more about how the webinar will work and how you can interact, and then we will get started. So first of all, if I could welcome Althea Bradley to the webinar today. Althea, good afternoon. If you could just introduce yourself, please.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Althea Bradley. I'm from the University of Hertfordshire. I'm the head of tourism, hospitality and event management. And we do degrees in tourism, event management and a postgraduate degree in hospitality, tourism and event management.
Thank you. So you'll be able to talk about the some of the degree courses and some of the post-18 options that people can follow if this is the industry that they want to go into. Thank you, Althea. Phil Ritter, good afternoon. Tell us a little bit about you and the organisation you're representing today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Philip Ritter. I work for McMullins & Sons, which is a brewery in Hertfordshire. We also own quite a lot of pubs across, obviously, the home county of Hertfordshire and right out to Fleet and in central London. And we have job roles basically from front of house team members right through to managers and kitchen teams and things like that. Lots of different roles like that. So we're quite a broad business, actually, having a golf course and a few other crazy things in there. So lots of different opportunities within McMullins.
Okay, yeah, fantastic, and we are going to explore them as we go through this webinar. And welcome to Bjorn. Now, it looks like Bjorn, you are on mute at the moment. No, you've taken yourself off, which is great. So, Bjorn, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. If you could just explain a little bit about you and your background, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Bjorn, Swedish name for a Dutch guy living in Amsterdam, working for Hilton for the past 15 years. So we operate in 6,500 locations in 118 countries around the world. I think we've got around 150 locations in the UK region alone. So, you know, pretty much on all levels from luxury to full service and full service locations we have. I think adding to what Phil said, a wide range of opportunities available, you know, across the globe with us.
Okay, thank you very much, Bjorn, for sharing your background with us as well. And there's plenty that we'll look to tap into here. So let me just let you know how the webinar is working. So firstly, for those of you that are attending this session live, which is what, Thursday afternoon, firstly, well done for investing your time in coming home from school and turning on a webinar to find out a little bit about careers in hospitality. So I hope this is going to be a really, really beneficial session for you. To make it as beneficial as it can be, what I really recommend and encourage you to do is to ask questions and to think of things that you would want to find out. So Althea, Phil and Bjorn have got extensive knowledge about the hospitality industry. They cover a range of different areas. So whether you wanted to leave school at 16 and get a job, or whether you're looking to get a part-time job whilst you're studying, or whether you're looking to get a job after graduating from university, as well as discussing those opportunities at university as well. This panel really know their stuff, so they can really help and guide you to make some really, really good decisions and to give you some really good advice. So please utilize them. The way that you do that is on your dashboard in front of you, you'll see that there's a questions tab. If you open the questions tab up or you click on it, it will open up a text box. So on the text box, you can then type in your question. So your question will only be visible to me as the presenter, and then I will direct it to whichever of the panelists. So if you specifically want one of them to answer your question, then just put their name at the front of it. Otherwise, I'll ask it to one of them, or I'll ask it to all three of them. But please do use that opportunity to ask those questions. The webinar is being recorded, so if you can't stay until the end of it, we're probably going to wrap up by about 4:45 today. Then it will be available on our HOP channel a little bit later. So the screen that I showed you beforehand had our HOP channels on there. So if you familiarise yourself with those, you would be able to refer back to that. And this webinar, as well as all the previous webinars that we've run over the last 15 months or so covering different industries, will also be available for you. Okay, so look, without any further ado, let's crack on with the first section here, which is just to explore a little bit more about what we mean by hospitality. So Althea, I think I'm going to go to you first of all. Could you just try and concisely explain what do we mean by the hospitality industry?
I'm a lecturer, we don't do concise. So the hospitality industry is huge, it's massive, because it of course takes in the accommodation sector, food and beverage sector, such as cafes, restaurants, bars, pop-up things that we're seeing now all over the place with the outdoor eating, etc. You can also take it into any aspect of the travel and tourism industry where you're dealing with customers, because of course we know what hospitality means. It's about meeting and greeting people, having conversations with people and serving them well. So tour operations, attractions, into the event sector where you've got meetings, conferences, festivals, where you're basically meeting with people where they are either having a sociable time, they're eating and drinking. So to me, it's a vast industry that covers all those aspects. I told you it wouldn't be concise. Apologies about that.
No, I thought it was very good. Björn, just from your perspective, from Hilton's perspective, what does hospitality mean to you and what does it cover?
Gosh, how much time do we have? Listen, I think it's fairly easy if you want to summarize it. I think it's making sure that our guests, customers have an unforgettable experience. That's something you want to give them in hospitality. It's basically everywhere where the person comes up to you and says, how can I help you? And that's what you look into. So I think globally, 1 out of every 9 or 10 jobs sits within the hospitality industry. So this is.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
really
and then
massive. And in terms of what that means for Hilton, obviously it's our bread and butter. Being a hotel company, we actually call ourselves hospitality. Some differentiators a bit from our main competitive set. It's all about welcoming and making sure that your guests, owners, suppliers, team members have the best and unforgettable experiences with us.
For sure. Okay, thank you. And then Phil, I mean, same question from you, from Macmillan's perspective, and you've got a range of different establishments that are out there. What does hospitality mean?
I mean, hospitality means just so much to our business. We rely on basically our guests, and our philosophy is obviously giving each guest the best service and journey that we can possibly offer them. Not just to have them coming back, but just to look after our people. And being from a family company that's been around for 127 years, we treat our guests and our people like family as well. So one of our philosophies is we want generations to rely on Max, not just the people right now. So we look after the community, we look after each other, and we look after our guests. And hospitality is so much part of what we do. So.
Yeah, so what I'm getting from all three of you there, it's a real intrinsic want to go and work with people and to help people and to provide a really excellent service, which I think, as you said, Althea, is a really important transferable skill to have, because when taking it outside the hospitality industry, learning those skills to deal with the general public and customers is a really important one, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, it's a great industry to be in, because you of course are dealing with people almost all the time, and that makes it exciting, dynamic, ever changing, and yeah, a great one to be in. Really great one to be in.
Sure. Björn, you've been in the industry for, well, you said a number of years. What are the most enjoyable aspects of working in hospitality?
Listen, it's a bit of a cliche, but I think every day is different. I think that's for starters. What I enjoy most is the fact that there's a lot of travel. Obviously, that was pre-COVID, and hopefully very soon post-COVID. Meeting people, seeing people, traveling around the world, part of it, getting different kind of experiences. I think that's the most enjoyable part of it. I think the other end, and that might be very interesting for everybody on the panel and joining this WebEx, is that it's a great industry to start your career in. You see many other industries actually tapping on our shoulders, say, you know what, the people that you're educating within your companies are very, you know, interesting actually in our industries, and that could go into the banking industries, the retail industries, other industries, hospitality, so hospitals, etc. So I guess, you know, even after such a very tough time we went all through globally, and we've seen that, you know, green shoots are popping up everywhere around the world. So business starts to resume again, people start to travel again more and more, and it has been challenging for a long time for all of us. I think the hospitality industry will come out stronger, much stronger than ever before. There are plenty of opportunities for people to join, to actually build fast their careers, to see different aspects of family businesses, larger and multinational companies, internationally, nationally, on different fields. So I guess that's the most enjoyable part. So it's never a dull moment, and it creates great opportunities. So I think it will feed into all of interest to the wider audience to join this industry.
Of course, thank you. Good answer. Phil, I'm going to ask you the reverse question of that. And just explain, what are the challenging aspects of working in hospitality? What might be the things that people don't necessarily consider that they should know?
Probably one of the biggest things with hospitality is the unsociable hours sometimes that people find a little bit hard on themselves and their social lives. But there's also a lot of reward and recognition that comes with doing those. I'm the kind of person that I love being behind the bar on a Friday night serving people. I get quite a buzz about that. So it can be quite challenging to people, and obviously sometimes having that work-life balance as well is quite hard in our industry. And we're learning and trying to get better at the moment to make that better for the people that work for us, but it can be challenging at sometimes, yeah.
Sure, no, I can see that. Althea, with thinking about some of the students that you've worked with and perhaps some of the placements they've been on and where they've gone, are there any general areas that perhaps students don't think about before they go into the hospitality area that you think they should be aware of?
In terms of the job prospects, or in terms of what they're actually doing while they're there?
Yeah, I think I mean what they're actually doing when they're there.
Okay, I think Phil just mentioned it there, that the long inhospitable hours, they sometimes don't think about that. So for example, I had a student that went and worked in the Ritz-Carlton in Dubai, all the glamour idea of working in Dubai, and it was hard work, 12-hour shifts, round the clock working, and actually almost quit, but he's so pleased that she didn't, because she really gained an awful lot of experience in dealing with various different people from various different backgrounds, and moved her way around the hotel, so got a lot of different skills from doing that. And I think it can be a shock. You sometimes think you're going into I don't know whether glamorous is the right word for it, but it's one where we all enjoy. You know, we've all been part of the hospitality industry as a customer, so you see only the front office stuff and how enjoyable that is, and then you don't realise the amount of work that's going on behind the scenes that you can only do if you go and work in that situation. The hotel industry, the restaurant, the bar industry, there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. It's not just a matter of opening up your shop and there you are. You've got to do everything before that shop opens to get ready for the customers. So I think it is the long hours that often shocks them.
Yeah.
Can I take that statement slightly down? Because, you know, I would imagine, I agree, so sometimes there are long hours, but equally there's a lot of flexibility, right? So if you're really opting for yourself for a 9-to-5 job Monday to Friday, then you will still find opportunities in hospitality, in the office department, for example. But you know, this industry is 24/7, so you know that sometimes means that you're working in the evening, sometimes I work during bank holidays or during Christmas or whatever it is. But it equally has other perks that will help you to go through that. So you know, if you're planning to go to the gym in the morning, for example, and start later, often you can. So you can avoid other things, and you can actually plan that around. I think, you know, companies like Hilton, we're really working on that work-life balance that Phil rightfully mentioned on that side, and that goes in a wide range on that, because I think it's really outdated, and I think a lot of people are scared off by saying, you know, the industry has a stigma of it's underpaid, it's long hours, it's and. Well, actually, you could say this is the fantastic industry to get started into. It creates loads of opportunities to travel, to be around, to be flexible, to actually move from one department into another department, one company to the other company, one country to the other country. Tell me any other industry that allows such opportunities for people out there. So to that point, you got to be flexible, and you've got to be willing to serve others. If you don't have it to serve others, then don't come into this industry. Then stay out, be a guest. But if you have a passion to serve others and you truly are hospitable, I can't think of any industry that's better suited to really equip students, equips graduates for a fantastic start in their careers than ours. So I would challenge you on that one, all of you.
Absolutely. Like, the skills that we have in our industry are so transferable that you can take them anywhere in the world. Like, I spent, a couple of years backpacking and traveling and working in cafes and restaurants and hotels using the same skills that I picked up when I was 16, 17 back in the day working at McDonald's. And they were just great skills that have just traveled me around the world.
Yeah, I mean, the one observation I have about the hospitality industry, having been involved in the periphery of it, is that there are really good opportunities. So whether you're starting your first job or whether you're going into the industry as having had previous work experience, there's fantastic opportunities to progress very, very quickly through the ranks in hospitality that I'm not quite sure happens as much in other industries. I mean, beyond you see a lot of people coming through your company in the industry. Is that a fair reflection?
It is, absolutely, yeah, it is. And I think, the benefit that we have, without sounding too arrogant on using the name Hilton, but the name Hilton actually adds value, what we think, on the resumes of people, because of our learning and development tools and support that we provide to all team members. So we definitely see that other companies, other industries are literally tapping on the shoulders when a person have, a reputable name on their resumes to build that out. But we see many young people joining the company, progressing internationally, nationally in different fields. I think that's great. Typically in the UK, we're having a sandwich year in the third year for doing their internships. We are also attracting students from non-hospitality curriculums to join us. And then, sometimes it's just surprising when I travel to Watford, where we have our EMEA head office being based. I come across colleagues who've never worked in a hotel before, and that sometimes is striking to me. Like, how can you work for an international head office for one of the largest hospitality companies in the world and never ever have worked in a hotel before? But it is possible. So I'm not saying that you don't need to have this, but I think similar to what Phil said is, you can build fantastic transferable skills for our industry, but equally for other industries. And that's something which is, I think, nowadays it's great and it's essential to be successful at any career.
Sure. Okay, thank you. I'm just going to move the conversation on now. We're going to start thinking about how someone might get into the industry. So let me ask you this question first, Phil, because I know within the recruitment team at Macmullans, you probably see lots of CVs and lots of applications from either current school students or students that have just finished school. Are there any subjects that you're always looking for them to have done? Do they need to have done food technology? Are there business studies?
Those sort of skills are absolutely great to have. If they've done food technology and things like that, it's absolutely brilliant. And we obviously take them in, same as Bjorn would do as well. We have an in-house learning and development program, which we put you on and progress you through and give you more skills along the way. But generally, people that are at the age of 16, we give everyone a go within Macmullans, and we get them in, and we sort of create your own learning and development path at that age. So we don't pressure you to exceed to here, but we will give you the tools that you need to get to where you want to go. And, as most people know on the panel, that sometimes hospitality is a bit of a passing career, that it's in between university or things like that people work. We have the tools here, obviously, to guide you to go all the way. And then obviously we do apprenticeships as well. And so often, we train people up, they leave us for a little bit and then they come back again going, we really missed you guys. We liked working with you. So, we like to develop our people. We like to see them shine. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And Bjorn, same question for you, because you're involved in the recruitment process. Are there any particular school subjects that you'd really encourage someone to do if they, eventually one day wanted to come and work for Hilton?
No, listen, it depends on what kind of career you'd like to start within the company, right? Ultimately, I think when a person has an interest to join the industry, either on a corporate level or on the hotel-based level, having the right motivation is the best key to get in there. And then regardless what kind of degree people have. So let me give you an example. So one of our international graduate schemes that I'm recruiting for, I'm not only looking for people with hospitality curriculum or hospitality degree. We sometimes have people who actually study literature or English or history, but they do have that passion to work in our industry, and often that passion, because they have done side jobs or they have traveled quite a bit. I think that passion often is far more important than actually purely doing kind of a degree or a subject. But I guess if you're not certain what kind of future industries could fit best for you, is visit them, visit restaurants, visit bars, and not necessarily to grab that pint. You can do that later on. That's always fantastic. But have a chat with the people working there. So what is it that they're learning that they can do? What's appealing here? What's not appealing to you? And make sure that you have that right fit and right connection with that particular company for you to really say that this is the kind of industry I'd like to recruit for. So when I look for internships, for example, I only look, are you eligible now? Obviously, given I do this internationally, where we're trying to recruit many students in the UK. Some of them might come from outside of the UK. We now need to apply for a visa because of Brexit that happened. That's a bit more challenging, but people are eligible. In all fairness, I don't really mind if they have done a psychology background or hospitality background. It's more about what is their passion and how can we take it into there. But for some roles, like communications, legal, finance, obviously it's very helpful if they have studied that background. So I think the more specific you could be, the better. If you're not certain, ask, reach out, connect with people, find people on LinkedIn, ask your questions, don't be shy. I think if there's ever an industry where you could talk to people, this is ours. So, make sure that you ask that one question too many, then that you find out yourself that you forgot that ask that one simple question that could have helped you by determining what career path to take or what subject to take.
Sure. Okay. No, thank you for that answer. And I think that's a really important piece of advice, not just for hospitality, but going out and getting those experiences and going out and proactively talking to people who are already fulfilling those roles is such a valuable piece of advice and research to be doing there. Althea, let me ask you the next question. I know you'll perhaps be slightly biased on this one, but is going to university a prerequisite for having a good career in hospitality? Or let me put it another way, how would university help someone who wanted to go into this?
So yes, it's not a prerequisite. We've heard from Phil and Bjorn that you can go in young, and indeed I worked in hospitality as a 16-year-old behind a bar and absolutely loved it. But doing a degree, well, it's kind of twofold, the benefits of doing a degree. First of all, it's the career enhancement. And Bjorn mentioned that passion. If you're doing your degree in hospitality, tourism, events, whatever it is, you're showing a passion for that subject, and of course that industry, because ultimately the aim is to get a job in the industry you're doing a degree in at the end of the day. So subject knowledge, employability skills that you get during your 3 or 4 years at university around communication, problem solving, presentation, team working, report writing, all the different things that you can take into the workplace. Researching projects, those kind of things. We sometimes get companies come to us to do some research for them. So should technically improve your career prospects through that. Government reports show that graduates on average earn more, of course, about £9,000 difference between a non-graduate and a graduate at the same age, at 22, 23. And the second part of that is self-development for the individual. So you build your self-confidence. Now you start at 18 and we see these students progress. They come in, a lot of them come in fairly shy sometimes. And as they progress through their degree, really shine and grow in their confidence and their abilities to promote themselves and to get a job and go into the business that they've got that passion for. Obviously, you become more independent, especially if you move out of home. And as both of our other speakers have alluded to, the fact that your flexibility and your hours, and you might get to travel to different parts of the country or different parts of the world with your job. So you've already proven that you've got that independence. Meeting people from lots of different backgrounds at university. They're not just all British, they're from 30, 40, 50 different countries, and you'll be sitting in a classroom with those. So your ability to communicate with people from different backgrounds comes out as well. And of course, other opportunities that you get to do whilst doing a degree: study abroad, work experience, so doing a year working between second and final year, and all the extracurricular that you can do within a university such as ours that's got 22,500 students. So you've got societies and clubs for all interests, and that kind of enhances your CV. It makes you stand out. It makes you what we'd say extraordinary rather than just ordinary.
Yeah, and then, well, let's give University of Hertfordshire a real plug here, Althea, as well. What are the courses that someone leaving school, i.e. after A-levels or 18, what are the hospitality courses that they could take?
So ours, we do 3 undergraduate tourism degrees, international tourism, business and tourism management. We've got 4 event management degrees, pure event management, events and marketing, events and business, and events and tourism. And then at postgraduate, we've got an MSc in international tourism, hospitality and event management. So they cover a lot of different strands there. All of the degrees offer some element of work placement for those that want to do that. And you know, companies such as Hilton, we sometimes get graduates on placements in there, but they're all over the place. Of course, COVID really put a hit on that, but we're seeing them come through. We've got most of our current second years are off out into the world of work now. So we don't do a pure hospitality degree, but a lot of our students do end up in the hospitality industry, funnily enough.
Yeah, and we spoke beforehand, of course, we want to signpost people towards University of Hertfordshire, but also some students will want to fly the nest a little bit further and travel slightly further afield. Are there any other universities around the country that you would direct people to have a look at?
Yeah, if you want to go further afield, you can go to places such as Manchester Metropolitan, Oxford Brookes. There's a lot of the Welsh universities and the Scottish universities do degrees as well. You can go down to Bournemouth, Sheffield Hallam if you want to go into the middle of the country in Derby, and up to the northeast you've got places like Northumbria University. So they're spread far and wide across the country.
Sure. Okay. Look, I will provide a proper balance here on university or not university, but Bjorn, just from your perspective, why does someone with a degree in whether it's a related or unrelated field, why do they stand out to you? Why might they be the right person for Hilton?
That's a $1 million question you're asking now, because look, if I take Hilton, I just take the entire company. We have almost 400,000 team members working for us around the world. So why does one person stand out? I think when I'm recruiting for a person in my team, I always look at that person that I'm having that good connection and that good click with, and to understand what he or she is looking for in an internship or into a job, how we can progress a person. And so that's why you test the waters and see where the passion really comes from and what the person wants to do. I think it's utopia thinking that everyone actually joining the company is internationally mobile and wants to travel after every half a year to a different job. Reality is that 70% of our team members are very fine where they are, and it's a smaller percentage of people who want to travel. So I guess, you know, I think what I'm asking our heads of departments also to check is, so what makes your people tick? Have a check with those, because what is the intrinsic motivation of a person that will join, and would that fit within the company, would that fit within the department, within the team? Then that's brilliant. And that goes for people with a degree and without a degree. But I fully agree with Althea, what she's mentioned. I think the differences lies in how quickly people might progress. One of the benefits that come out statistically, if you take it over the country, the difference is there. But to me, when a person has the right connection with the team, that's often is good to go. And that's, you know, because the rest, when it comes to technicalities, those are things within Hilton we can teach people. So with the right mindset, you actually are far progressed. So I'd rather have a person who actually has no experience in hospitality, but has the right mindset, than a person who brings a wealth of experience and comes in with an air of, let me show you how things get done because that's what I was used to. So I'm not, we always say that in a fun way, we'll try to Hiltonize people a bit, you know, give them our flavor so they understand how we'd like to provide services and business, and I'm certain that Phil will do the same in his company, because that's actually how you differentiate companies from one another. But I guess that mindset and the way you show your passion, that show your hospitality, that is crucial. And once that's in there, the rest can be taught, because I think the other element is people can move from one department to the other, and rather look for a person who has the right soft skills, like having the right leadership skills, understands how to hire, train, develop, assess people, then the person only knows how to work in engineering, or only knows how to work in culinary, or only knows how to work in food and beverage. Because the fun thing is people move between different departments. The one thing that's consistent here is how do you deal with your guests, how do you deal with your team members, how do you deal with your stakeholders, and the rest. If you need to check in a person, check out a person, if you need to serve a person in the bar, restaurant, or in banqueting, if you need to do some credit notice within finance, those are technicalities and can be taught.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's a really good answer, and I think that very much covers the skills and qualities that you're looking for in hiring someone. Phil, from your perspective, there are different entry routes into McMullins. You spoke about some of the apprenticeship schemes that you've
Yes.
got. Tell us a little bit more about those.
So we work with HIT Training, which is a hospitality apprenticeship group, and we run several apprenticeships with them through catering skills for guys that work back of house. We also do front of house ones, supervisor, so forth, and we've even got some managers on a level 5 at the moment. So getting their skills, but just in a different way. I mean, personally myself, I'm doing my level 5 in L&D at the moment. So we're just all adding more strings to our bow. And the great thing about the apprenticeship is you get the opportunity to obviously learn, but while you're earning along the way. So, and again, we're not a company that pays you like £2 an hour. We pay you your full normal wage that everyone else would get. And then you get those opportunities to learn. And obviously you get support from your manager, from your mentor and things like that. And I mean, currently at the moment, I think we've got about 55 people on apprenticeships. But obviously due to COVID, those numbers have sort of slowed down at the moment. But it's one of the trainings that we link into our own training as well, so our own in-house training. So we try to combine the two to give everyone the best opportunity to develop really, and come out of their shells. And just touching on something Bjorn said before, absolutely, like the personality and the person that comes before you is what we look for in our teams. Like, we can train soft skills, we can teach you how to cut, we can teach you how to serve, but you've just got to have that aura, that something about you, and you can teach the rest. And I think that's what the hospitality industry is. I see so many shy people come to interviews, and then when I see them a few weeks later and they've been trained and they're a completely different person, they just pop out of their shells once they get the confidence and things. It's amazing. So
yeah, so what we're really presenting here is that the hospitality industry, there are just so many different entry routes into it. So whether you're doing it as your first job from school, perhaps whether you're doing it as a part-time job while still at school or college, there's still opportunities if you want to go into the industry having studied a specific degree at university within the industry, or as Bjorn's saying, you could do a degree in something completely separate. But if you've got that right skill set and that right passion, then the hospitality industry will still come calling for you a little bit later on in life. So yes, it sounds like it's a really, really good industry, which is a nice segue really into the next set of questions I'm going to ask you, which is about the prospects for hospitality going forward. So I mean, Bjorn, let me come to you first of all. Is there, in the post-COVID world, are we going to see a huge demand for people to come back into the industry now?
The answer is absolutely yes. I think just building what Phil said earlier, still too many people see this industry as an in-between industry to start jobs. But I think, this is an industry you can actually stay your entire life and actually see a wider range of opportunities. So definitely go for it. I mean, I'm one of these. And the fun thing is, I remember when I graduated, I did international hospitality management in Stanford University in the Netherlands. I think I'm one of the few left from my year that's still working in hospitality. But when I meet with my friends, every time they keep wondering about the stories I keep sharing them of the international travel and the fun part I'm doing. So clearly there are opportunities there. Answer to your question, absolutely there are demands in there. So we already see, and that's only within Hilton, and certainly that's with Phil as well, and anywhere else in the country, that many opportunities are coming back. Sadly to say, I think this is also a reality, is that due to the pandemic, and if you take certain larger cities, Manchester, Glasgow, but particularly London, has been hit very, very hard in the pandemic. I think this pandemic has been, as our CEO and president calls it, unprecedented, and it really has been. Normally after a crisis, the hospitality industry is the first to get the hits, but also the first one to recover. This time around, we are the first to get the hit and most likely one of the last ones to recover, but we will recover. So I'm not sure if that's a steep V that people sometimes talk about in the news. Might be more like a U-shaped curve that we get in there, but the recovery's there. And the reason is that people want to travel. So next week, Thursday, I'm planning to jump in my car with my family and drive to Italy and spend my holidays for 2 weeks in Italy. I can't wait to get out of Holland, I can tell you. Not because Holland isn't a great country, it is. But you get me to the sunshine, get me out. And I know that my colleagues in the UK have booked their flights to Portugal, to Mexico, to Dubai. They want to travel. I don't think any one of you on the call actually says, do you know what, let's skip another year. Let's stay in the UK. Let's stay in rainy Cornwall again. So people want to get out, right? So I think that's one. I think the other part is the world is desperately for international overhaul traveling to restart again. People to travel from Asia to our part of the world. And in the UK, we are actually very dependent on guests from Asia, the Pacific, from the Americas to come over this part of the world, from us to really move those part of the world to travel back again. And with that come different jobs again. With that comes higher occupancy levels in hotels. With that come more jobs being available. And so, we knew that, at a certain point in time, Boris Johnson would flip that switch. He calls it Freedom Day. I think, we need to call it slightly different, but it is what it is, what he calls it. That suddenly the business, starts to resume again, and then you suddenly have that sharp V curve upwards that says people are allowed to travel and go out. So I hope, fingers crossed, that as of July 19th, when your Freedom Day is actually being finalized, and there are not too many positive cases happening with the Delta variant of the COVID virus, and things are happening, that you guys get to travel. Because when you start to travel, jobs will occur and are happening everywhere else. So the industry is definitely looking forward to see you coming back.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. That's a very promising message that you've just given us there. Phil, from your perspective, are there any particular roles that you find, I don't know, more challenging to recruit for because there's more of them?
Absolutely. So just touching obviously on the global pandemic and things like that, currently at the moment we have not a struggle, but looking for chefs has become a big problem for us in particular. And there's many different factors. We've got obviously, COVID, we've got furlough, we've got our borders being shut, we've got obviously Brexit. So there's so many factors that are coming into that. And it's made us look how we do our business slightly different. So we're now giving those soft skills to our front of house team that now want to work in the kitchen and help out and things like that. So we're doing the best with what we have, but currently those kitchen roles is quite hard for us, and recruiting in central London at the moment is very difficult for us. So out in the counties and further up north, we're fine, front of house staff, kitchen staff, things like kitchen assistants, things like that, but chefs and sort of central London is really difficult at the moment. To the point where we can put an ad out and get just one applicant or 0 applicants, and it's so difficult. Where in central London before, you put an ad out for 2 hours and you'd have 100 applicants, and it was crazy. And especially with the rules around self-isolating at the moment, a lot of our team that work in the pubs in central London all live together. So once one person goes down, sort of the whole site goes down because they've all got to isolate. So it is quite difficult with all those factors at the moment. So there's a lot against us, but I think the hospitality industry is rising to the challenge, and I don't think we'll be beaten. We took quite a hard knock, but as Bjorn said, we will bounce back better than ever, because people just love hospitality. They want to go out, they want to eat, they want to drink, they want to travel. So we will be back on our feet in no time.
And I think the other positive things, adding to your story, is there are 2 big challenges that we have in the UK. One, pre-pandemic, if you would get into many hotels and restaurants, you see a lot of international team members working there. And so, a lot of them actually, because of the pandemic, left the UK, went back to their home countries, anywhere else in the EU, might not have a pre-EU settlement status to come back into the UK. The second part is under Brexit and the visa challenge that come in there. So if you add both up, and then you also add up there are tremendous opportunities coming in now into the country, that actually says there are so many job opportunities. And that means that our companies are actually fishing in that same pool of talent and hunting the same talent. So when Phil says there's it becomes more challenging to recruit people in culinary or food and beverage roles, that's not only in his company, that's everywhere, because all of us are taking that part. And that's, that's in hotels, there's in restaurants, cafes and bars and everywhere else. So I think that challenge is even bigger than that. Luckily, our area president for Europe, Middle East and Africa, Simon Vincent, is in the board of the Institute of Hospitality and actually has lots of meetings with the Parliament to see how the industry needs to recover, etc. But certainly that's a challenge. On the flip side of things, it also created opportunities for people living in the UK, because it allows far more opportunities with less competition to find yourself a proper job. So I think that's a plus.
Yeah, really interesting. Althea, from your perspective, I don't know whether it's too early to tell yet, but are you seeing any difference in where your students are going to and the sorts of positions they're going to? Is there a real is there a real demand for students to go in particular areas, and event management, for instance?
It goes in waves, a lot of our recruitment, and at the minute, funnily enough, what Bjorn mentioned earlier, the hotel sector is where a lot of our students are getting their jobs, graduates and interns. I've got 3 graduates going off to work for Marriott in America when they can get out of the country. I've got graduate roles there, and the same with the third years that are going on placement. They're going into a lot of hotel roles. A couple of years ago it was in cruising, but of course cruising's been really badly hit, so that will probably all of a sudden just emerge, and there'll be a lot of jobs coming back into that sector once everybody's back off furlough and the likes. Airlines and within event management, we've got a lot working for some of the bigger companies, and again with event management, you might not be working for an event management company. It might be an event role in a hotel or an event role within a bigger organization such as a bank. So it does go in waves of where we find our students ending up. Seems to be a lot of splurge into one area, then into another, depending on the year. But it's really encouraging that students are getting good jobs even this early into the kind of almost post-pandemic.
Yeah, sure. And well done, because you've answered 2 questions in one there. Because we just had a question coming through asking about event management, and do you work for a company, or do you work for an event management company is what you just explained. Just whilst we're on that, just perhaps clarify, what does event management actually mean, Althea?
So it can mean a lot of things, because of course it's about the creation, the development and the running and the sustainability now, especially of events. So you're looking at bringing an event to life, shutting it down, considering the impact on the community, on the business, so in the wider sense. And of course we've got everything from massive mega global events such as the Olympics, down to party planning for a child's birthday or something. And we've got some students in event management that have gone on to do their own companies, specializing in, for example, wedding planning, or into maybe MICE events, meetings, incentives, conferences, etc. And of course the festival scene is coming back big and strong, again with a variety of different types of festivals, and that sustainable agenda is totally hitting all of those festivals in terms of reduced use plastic. So there's a lot of scope in event management.
Sure, no, thank you for answering that. And so that was a question that's come in. If you've got any questions, if you're watching this live and you want to submit them, please do submit them now so I can make sure that we get them answered for you before the end of the webinar. Next question, just wanted to know, I mean, Phil McMullen's, your headquarters are in Hertford, so you're smack bang in the middle of Hertfordshire. Is Hertfordshire a good place to work in the hospitality industry?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't turn a corner in this county without seeing one of our pubs, really. And there's just so much opportunity. And within our business as well, it's not just we're all the same pub. Every pub has a different concept. So there's a fresh food. There's a high street where you do cocktails and mixology and all that sort of thing. So they're quite different, all of our sites, which is really, really good. So there's lots of different opportunity. And obviously, again, coming into Hertford, you see our name everywhere, which is always good, but a bit daunting sometimes. And there's just loads of opportunity to grow and move around within the business. So, I mean, I started at one of our sites in Hatfield 10 years ago when I first came to the country, and then I went to Enfield, central London, then I went out to Fleet. So there's lots of different opportunities to work and grow within the business. And then came into this job working at head office in training and recruitment, which was just somewhere where I never thought my career was going. So, but yeah, no, there's lots of opportunity within Hertfordshire. So
Sure. And then Bjorn, you've obviously got a site in Watford, but as you've said earlier, the world is literally your oyster, isn't it, when you go into hospitality? But from a Hertfordshire perspective, and the Watford site, is that a good place? Is that for people to go in and cut their teeth in the industry?
I think this is as good as a place as any of the places actually where you feel home. So I don't think hospitality has any boundaries or any specific locations. And if you like to stay in Hertfordshire, then that's great. And if you want to get out of the county, then that's great too. So who am I to judge on that? I always like you to travel there and to see it and to actually go to the different pubs around there. I think that's always great fun with the team. And similar to what Phil was mentioning, everywhere I travel, it was always interesting to see Hilton signs popping up. Not necessarily only in Hertfordshire, but anywhere else in the world. I guess our founding father said a long time ago, Connaught Hilton, it's all about location, location, location. So I think we're all at A locations everywhere, and everywhere where you turn your head, you find a Hilton brand nowadays. So I think this is fab. And Hertfordshire, as any of the other countries, is a great place to start or to work in. Sure.
Sure. And I think perhaps what many people, young people, don't appreciate growing up in Hertfordshire, you're so close to London. You are just a train ride, which is a huge hub for many different industries, but particularly the hospitality industry. Althea, where do many of your students end up going? Because I'm sure you will have a few students who are from Hertfordshire originally and stay at home, but where do they? I mean, you've spoken about your 3 graduates that are about to start jobs in America.
We've got them literally all over the country and at various different levels, because we've been running the degrees now for over 25 years. So some of our alumni are very high up in the industry, which is great. So we drag them back in to do some talks. But we've got students in London, of course, a lot of opportunities in London. We've got students working for companies such as Ramblers, that's based in Hertfordshire. Then some of the kind of online companies such as Expedia, and of course we've got TUI on our doorstep, the big tour operator up in Luton. So we've got quite a number of our graduates in various different roles there. Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which again have got offices within Hertfordshire, but also in various parts of the country and the world. And then international students that have gone back to their home country and either set up their own business or working within some of their local brands within the destination marketing organizations, for example, for their country. So yeah, they're literally all over the place, all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you're presenting here an industry where very much your options are, if you want to stay in your postcode or close to home, there's going to be opportunities. But yeah, if you want to go and see the world, hospitality is a great industry to go into. Right, just before we conclude, say any more questions you've got? I can see there's a couple on there that I will definitely get answered. Last opportunity if you've got any more questions you want to ask, but we do always like to try and leave you with some really useful websites or resources that you might want to go and have a look at in your own time. So, well, Phil and Bjorn, both your recruitment pages are on there, so both for McMullins and for Hilton. Visit Hearts is a really good website. That is sort of Hertfordshire's, I guess, tourism site, so that might be useful just to familiarise yourself with many of the different organisations within Hertfordshire and many of the different venues that we have. That might give you some really good background understanding as well. The Springboard site, you can see there is a really good one, just provides some resources to find out about different careers within the world, really. That covers a wide, lost my wording, covers a really wide range of different roles that are needed within the industry. So if you want to find out any more specific details about them, please do have a look there. Just before we conclude, let me just ask the questions that have come in. This one, I suspect it might be for Phil, touching on some of the experiences that you've mentioned earlier. Is it really hard to have a smiling face when you're dealing with customers all day, every day?
Not particularly. I always say to people, being in hospitality or being working front of house is like being on stage. You're constantly on show, so you're constantly playing that part of being a happy person and go lucky. And I personally believe I have a knack for that, and I really enjoy it because I really enjoy being around people and socializing. To the point where if I'm home by myself, I'm like, I've got to go out, I've got to go to Tesco's or something to be around people just to enjoy it. But it's great fun just being in the hospitality industry. You meet great people, you meet great friends, and I think your friends as well that you work with get you through everything as well, because you build such great teamwork and you have a laugh, and it just is really pleasurable to work with and working with them.
Sure. Okay. And Bjorn, let me ask you that question. I mean, you must see many of your staff who are doing a very, very good job of always appearing very, very happy. But I guess we all have these emotions and other things go on in our life. And is that just something you have to turn on when you turn up on duty?
I think it's human being that you can't always smile 24/7, and that you have mixed emotions. I mean, in reality, if we take the past year and a half, I think so many people were scared of losing their jobs, or they're able to pay their bills. Maybe friends, relatives got the virus, maybe even ended up in the ICUs. So, you know, reality says that different things in life can determine how well you feel, how well you present. I would agree with Phil that, you know, I would think this is a great stage to shine and to perform. I think that's great. I think what's definitely helping is people like to come to our industry. You like to go to a bar. You like to go out on a plane. You like to travel. You go on your holiday destination. You like to be out. If that's a punishment for you, then definitely don't go to that bar or restaurant. Stay out, because you're ruining the opportunity for other people to have a good time. So our industry is equal for people getting a good time, and what better way for people, our team members, to help people really get that good time and that good feeling after a hard day of long work or whatever that is. Certainly you have those team members who actually are born with a smile from here to here on their face. Some others need to have a bit more emphasis to really get that smile on. But I guess it's more about being authentic and real towards your guests, and they'll see that things are happening with you, and you know, that having that compassion with people around. So when a person has had a delay in the flights and has passed PCR test that you now need to get to another country and finally gets to the destination, that person does not want to see a cranky person standing behind the desk. That person wants to be welcomed with a smile, say, you know what, I can see you had a top travel to come to our destination. How can we help you? That's a small thing that makes a huge difference in the experience. And I don't want to see this in hospitality. I also want to see this in retail. So if you get to a cashier and actually that person is very cranky, that I think, like, you know, I'll take my business elsewhere. That's my kind of feeling. And that's something we will get back to our team members as well. You know, treat your customers, treat your guests the way you'd like to be treated, and understand what people might be coming from. So, and then often that smile will come up. And if you don't really feel about that smile, I have that true interest and passion for people, then, you know, I keep on repeating myself, but there are other great industries. But then, you know, definitely, I would not recommend you working at least in front of house in our industry. But I'm certain that everybody does and enjoy that experience.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, talking about a role that perhaps definitely isn't going to be front-facing, and maybe with good reason, Phil, you might have some examples of this. Question coming here: I really want to be a chef. What's the best course to go on to become a Michelin star chef?
Oh, so that's a really tough one for me, Jazz. So obviously some really good training comes behind it. So working with fresh food and being one of those kitchens for us would be a great start. We obviously have our own development program here where we do sort of advanced kitchen skills and menu creation and all those sort of things where you can get all Heston on yourself and get really creative and do those sort of things. And obviously moving on and moving around to different other pub companies or further other people to gain other skills. I think the more people you sort of work with, each time you work with someone, you gain a new skill or a new tool, and that just gets you to the level where you need to be at. I was actually at a college about 3 years ago, and one of the questions there was, how do I be a Michelin star? And they basically wanted that tomorrow, not you've got to do a little bit of hard work before you get there, unfortunately. So it doesn't just happen overnight. So
yeah, no, for sure. I guess in the same way that everyone who wants to be a footballer would probably be like to be leading England out on Sunday, but the reality of it is not everyone's going to make. In fact, very few people are going to make it to that level. Is that the same with chefs?
Oh, absolutely. Like, we've got people that are just content doing what they do every day, and then we've got people that go, I've just created this, can we get it onto the specials, can we do this? And I'm like, okay, let's spec it out, let's, you know, check the allergens, let's do it. And they just feel so proud when each single one of those dishes goes out that they've created. So it's just pushing those people. With our development program, we will help you get to where you want to go. And as I said, we've had people that get to sort of a point and they're like, I need to go learn this from someone else. And they will go learn something else, and then they'll come back to us a few years later going, oh my God, I've done this, this, and this. And then we share experiences and we gain as a company then, because we get new ideas and new information, and it's just a really good learning.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And then Althea, final question I'm going to ask you first of all, because it's an academic question, but Phil and Bjorn, I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on this one as well. I'm thinking about doing a level 3 diploma in hospitality and events at West Herts College. Would this be better than staying at school and doing 3 unrelated A levels if I want to go into hospitality?
If you're sure that's what you want to go into, then potentially yes. In terms of coming on to do your degree, if that's what they're thinking of doing, then you might be better with your A levels. But I think if you're intent on that area, then stick with your initial idea.
Okay, and then let me just throw that out to both of Phil and Bjorn as employers. If someone came to you with a level 3 diploma in hospitality and events, is that something that's going to raise your eyebrows, Bjorn?
What way should it raise my eyebrows?
If someone applied for a job with you and they had a level 3 diploma in hospitality and events?
I think, you know, it's similar to what Althea actually mentioned. It depends on what job they're applying for, what are the requirements for that particular job. But I guess, you know, if you are applying with those degrees into our hotels, I wouldn't see a reason why you wouldn't be able to apply and be successful there. Often you see people with different kind of degrees starting, you know, at different levels in the organization and work their way up. So I think that's fine. I think ultimately do a degree that you think is actually adding value to your future. To your future career, and if you're not certain, then, you know, do more of a generic degree that will help you on the long run. So, you know, I hope people actually don't do the degrees because their mums and dads have told them that they have to have a degree. That's the only reason why. So I hope you take that deliberate choice about why you're doing a degree, or if you don't ever want to get into a degree, that's equally fine. I think in this industry you'll find many opportunities for people alike. The downside to it is that people who have a degree might actually grow faster, earn more money, etc. And that's how that salary household in the UK is being built up, or internationally. So it's a choice. You can never have a wrong choice, but I think choose something that actually fits with you and that fits within your future career perspective, I would say.
Sure, I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's probably a really good point to to close that as well. So just before we go, let me just remind you again of the HOP website, and on your screen at the moment you'll see not only our website, but you'll see our social media handles. The QR code, if you were to take a picture of that would take you directly through to the page on our HOP website, where not only this video is available to watch back, but all of the other webinars that we've run over the last year, which cover a whole variety of different industries and different career roles. So please do have a look at them. They're in much the same format as this one, and hopefully they will keep you really well informed about how you might go into different industries. But hopefully today's session has been really, really informative for you. I think that our panelists have presented an incredible industry to go into, where whether you want to stay at home or whether you want to go and explore the world, whether you want to come into it having studied and got a degree, or whether this is going to be your first job from school, there's a whole variety of roles out there for you, and very positively, there's growing demand for many of the roles within it as well. So hopefully between Althea, Phil and Bjorn, they've really inspired you to have a really good explore about what hospitality could do for you. And then hopefully at some point in the not too distant future, you may well be the person coming back and talking to students at school about what a fantastic choice it was for you to go into, and inspiring that next generation. So thank you so much to our panelists, to Althea, to Phil and to Bjorn, for giving up your time to share your own experiences and thoughts with us today. That's really, really invaluable. Thank you to all of you that have watched, particularly those of you that submitted questions, and so we hope you found those useful. Thanks so much for being part of this, and thanks for watching, and all the very best.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you.